Hello, hello. It's Kevin here. Time for a video. It's been a while. I know. I don't remember the last time I made a video, in fact. However, that's going to change. I'm going to be making videos on a regular basis from now on. So, this channel that you are watching, I hope, is going to be purely for writing, for IELTS, TOEFL, all the different exams, and especially, which is why you're here, I hope, is for OET. Now, I've got a podcast, which you may or may not have seen, on Spotify for OET speaking, roleplay practice. Here we go. To role practice with English native. You can find it on Spotify, should you so wish. That's audio role-play examples for doctors, nurses, dentists, pharmacists, and so on. So, check it out if you want help with speaking. But if you want help with writing, well, you've come to the right place. So, my previous videos were simply corrections. As in this case, original and polished versions. But now we have something else. I'm going to show you the difference between original, polished, and 400. Now, the reason I'm doing this 3-column upgrade analysis is because although most of you are okay with a 350 grade B pass, some of my students need 400 plus. And they don't know what 400 plus looks like. So in this series of videos, beginning from this current one, every letter is going to have this 3-column as a format. So I'm not just going to do the usual, original corrected version, because that's okay. I wrote an article on my LinkedIn, links go to theenglishnative.com, all my links there. I wrote about this on my LinkedIn, and I've made an episode about it on my other podcast where I spoke about how this kind of works. Some of the correction services only give you a correction, which is okay, but they don't give you a model to emulate, shall we say. So that's what I intend to do in this series. So let's take a look at this one. You may have seen this one. This is from OET.com. If you go to OET.com, you've got 5 practice tests you can download, and this is from one of those. This is the one about the, as it says, commercial lawyer went for a flight, come here, had a heart attack, and the reason for the referral is to request a review of possible captopril intolerance. So that's the chief issue. That's the reason for writing, because of the side effects of captopril. So the circumstance of a heart attack, okay, is interesting, but that's not the main reason. The main reason for writing is to request review of medication due to side effects. So keep that in mind. So original, let's look at the purpose. Write to request your specialist assessment and management. Now, as we're going to see as this video series continues, this is too vague. Right? Assessment and management. What does that mean? Well, if we take a look at the polished version, you can see a better one. Specialist cardiology review. Okay, that's better than simply specialist assessment. Ongoing management following myocardial infarctions. That's slightly better, but definitely a better version is this one. This is more specific. And as this series continues, you will see you can't help but notice, to get a 3 out of 3 for purpose, you need to be as specific as possible. So if we compare the difference, right, I want you to refer for post-myocardial infarction cardiology follow-up, much more specific, and review of possible captopril intolerance as she has had side effects. Now, that's what you need for 400, right? You don't need this overly vague assessment and management request, okay? You need to be specific, yeah? Now, as we see today, going to the 400 version, which we'll take a look at just to quickly make the point. Okay. So the chief complaint is the side effects. So that should be paragraph 2. The circumstances of which the side effects arose is not the main issue. So we've got a stronger purpose, and now we can see the organization, how that works exactly. Okay, so now paragraph 2, this is the chief issue, the chief complaint, the reason for writing, essentially, at review today. Now, if it's an urgent referral, then usually today's visit is paragraph 2. This is not urgent, but this is the chief issue, so that's why it's paragraph 2. Usually, if it's a referral, a standard referral, it would simply be a chronology. Purpose, first visit, second visit, today's visit, etc. But not in this case. So you can see we've got a stronger purpose, yeah? So that's a little bit vague, that's a little bit kind of better, maybe a little smoother, but this is definitely 400 plus kind of territory. Then you've got chief issue, the symptoms. So we go back to the original. Now, I wouldn't put that myself. Right? You can do. Personally, if I were writing this, I wouldn't include that because it doesn't really have any bearing on the situation, but you can if you want. So you've got the family history, smoker, alcohol, okay. Now, this is better. Look at this phrasing. That's much better. Has a strong cardiovascular risk profile. That's very good. That's a kind of clinical phrasing that you need. Yeah? Instead of putting in a list of all the symptoms and circumstances, etc. If you phrase it like that, has a strong cardiovascular risk profile, including history, symptom, that's better, okay? But in the Pro version, 400 plus, that's moved down in the letter. Her cardiovascular risk factors include blah, 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 yeah? Because that's of secondary importance. The main issue for this is this medication review and the review of her lifestyle, etc. That's a secondary issue, okay? So in this paragraph was admitted, she collapsed at the airport, she was defibrillated, etc. blah, blah, blah. You can leave that there, okay? So I would leave that in paragraph 3 there. And then you've got, if this will show it, was discharged, you got the discharge, okay, that's the next paragraph. And in the original and the polished version, which simply polishes the original, you've got today's visit. Yeah. Following discussion, she requested a medication review. Okay, I would be grateful if you could review her treatment, her current treatment for management advice, a better one of her current medication regimen, and further advice regarding her ongoing post-infarction management. So you see, you've got the treatment, current treatment, but more specific, which is the heart of this letter, a current medication regimen. Yeah. So can you see the difference? between the three versions. Let's have another look. So the chief issue, medication review. Okay. Just scroll back up. It keeps moving. Okay, right. So you can see the purpose, more specific. Okay. Organization has changed to put the chief issue, paragraph 2. Okay. Then paragraph 3, basically same across the board. That's the background. You've got the discharge. Then you've got this. Then you've got the cardiovascular risk factors in this one pushed to the bottom. And then the more specific closing purpose. So I hope you can see the difference there. Okay. Now, estimated purpose, 2 out of 3, content, conciseness, genre, organization, language. As you can see, grammar and collocation errors. Some sentences are not as natural as they could be. Okay. But to take away from this, right, the chief issue with this one that would certainly get you a higher score is, what's the chief complaint? It's a medication review. So that should be paragraph 2. And you can see the organization, if I can make it smaller and get it on so you can see. Yeah, well, no, that's that's too small. That doesn't work. Anyway, can I get two-page view? Is that going to work? Well, no. Anyway, so forget that. That doesn't matter. Let me put it back on. Okay, right. So anyway, that aside, I hope you can see how it sort of works, and purpose, organization, etc. Anyway, right. That's enough for me. I'm going to make some more videos a bit later, and any questions, post some comments, get in touch, go to englishnative.com, links everywhere for me on LinkedIn, on italki if you want a personal lesson or consultation, etc. Anyway, I hope that gives you some ideas, and I'll see you in the next video.